Alright, Mr. Wilson, you didn't want to travel up to where I live, 5 hours away from where you live, to get an in-person interview, so I'm going to do my best right here. Yeah, I know you think I'm a little shit right now. I know what you just thought in your brain, but we're going to do this anyways. And we're going to do it my way. Now, you're going to wish you would come up here after I finish making this, but look what I did here. I got creative. I put in some sound padding, and then a camera guy told me a long time ago, you want to sit almost as close to your camera as possible. And then you also want to have some sound padding in there. Something I figured out. Alright, so I hope this looks good, because I have no way of checking this until I finish the video. And you sent me some questions that were kind of fluffy, like, why do you think Michael Jackson is the greatest musician of all time? I don't necessarily think that, although I think he's great. So I'm going to talk about myself a lot. I'm going to talk about why I wrote the song, okay? And you're just going to have to like it. So there. Alright, so why did I write Twist of Fate? That is a great question for anyone to ask. I had this riff in my head for a long time, the dum ba dum bum bum bum, and it was just very catchy, and I didn't know where to put it until Andrew Wilson approached me and said, let's put this in the song, and da-da-da, and I said, okay, I would love to be contracted to write a song. It was the first time I got contracted to work on a piece for anyone. Everything else is just me working on my own stuff and scratching my own itch. So this was a moment for me where I got to take my own bass riff and then add instruments. I used a very simple music editing program. Believe it or not, I didn't even have a keyboard to plug into my Mac, and I was using a used Mac. And Andrew bought me an M80 keyboard, which I used. Before that, I was so novice at this, I was actually using the QWERTY keyboard, like the A for C and the S for D and whatever, Q for sharp or whatever. And I was doing that to write one of my songs called Likes the Ladies, which is on my album, Love and Hate in Los Angeles, shameless plug. How do you like that artwork? That's not my artwork, by the way. But anyhow, I'm going to talk about myself because I like Michael Jackson. I think he's a great guy. I directed political television shows for several years before Andrew approached me and asked me to record the song, which became Twist of Fate. And while directing these political television shows, I heard from the host of the program that, let's take two on that. I was directing political television shows for several years before Andrew approached me and contracted me to write the song Twist of Fate for his book. And it's a beautiful book, but let's do a take three to get to the point. Oh yeah. So I was directing political television shows for several years before Andrew approached me and contracted me to write the song Twist of Fate to go on the CD in the book. And one of the things I learned while directing these political programs was that Schneden's family member, father or grandfather, may have had his photo in the city hall of the town where the trial happened, and he was wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit. So it could very well be that Schneden's had, I don't know, some latent racism or something, but I'm not going to judge them. It's not my place. What's more important to me is that I actually lived 5 minutes from the courthouse where the trial happened in 2005. So every day, one of my close family members was going in to sit in and listen to the trial, and would come home and talk to me about what was going on, and I learned a lot from that. And it was fascinating to me that that family member was predicting Michael Jackson's innocence before the verdict came out. So all the mainstream media was like, wow, they had to eat crow when they realized that they were wrong, begging for this guilty verdict to come through. And of course the family was relieved, and the family of Michael Jackson was connected to my family member and thanked him. And there was one day where he got invited to Neverland Ranch. And so the family member in question, if you were wondering, is my dad. And I actually missed the opportunity to go to Neverland. So I will probably never know what the inside of Neverland Ranch looks like, at least not for a long time. So let's talk about my lyrical inspiration for the song. Basically, I just used my creative brain to think, what would it be like to be in Michael's shoes? And so I thought about, the jetpack, leaving the stadium, the amphitheater, the one time that happened. I guess it was a stadium. And then I came up with this clever rhyme, you can't go higher than platinum, black stretch limos, have you sat in them? And I thought that was my most creative word rhyme with a phrase I'd ever done in my life up until that point. So that was kind of exciting. And then when Andrew and I recorded the track together, I was, I don't know what it's like to truly be a real hardcore hustling artist. I would love to know what that feels like someday. But I was exhausted actually when we went in for the recording, and it was kind of like a spur of the moment, got a rush job. And so I was learning how to keep my composure and get it through even though I was tired. So that was kind of fascinating to do that. And we were obviously paying for studio time and on a budget, so we did like 1 or 2 takes of most of the lines, and then it got edited, and I didn't get to sit there through the editing process. Of course, all of my stems were included for the guy to work with, but I just heard the final product. So part of me as an artist was slightly, I don't want to say dissatisfied, but like just wishing for a little bit of a different vibe, a different take on it, and I'm so thankful that so many people love the track. But what I wanted to do is I took my more raw or more rough around the edges kind of a take that I did on the song, my cut, and that went on my album, Love and Hate in Los Angeles. So if you listen to this album, you're hearing a different version of the song, Twist of Fate, than you hear on the CD that's included with the book. And you can also hear that song free on Spotify or YouTube. So anyhow, that's how that worked. All right, let's wipe that slate. That's a pretty clear-cut answer on that. Not sure what else to talk about here. Let's pause for a moment. Be right back. Actually, no, I'm not going to pause because that will change the shot of the video. I can't do that. Let's do this. Where's my cell phone? What else did you want to know, Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Wilson, why didn't you call me today? I miss hearing from you, my producer friend.
Okay, how does it feel to be chosen as a premier vocalist? That felt pretty good. What influence has MJ been towards your musical? Okay, that's kind of a good question. All right. Let's talk about what kind of an influence MJ was. Let's talk about what kind of an influence MJ was on my musical career. All right. So, as far as my musical career goes, I can't say Michael Jackson was too much of an influence in terms of song style, although I did listen to him on MTV growing up, and I obviously knew who he was. But one thing that really influenced me was his persistence and his dedication, his desire. That impacted me in terms of artistry more than anything else. So when I, didn't have any assiduity, I would just, do my piano lessons as a kid, didn't want to do it, go play outside. Assiduity, by the way, is the ability to sit your ass in a chair and be diligent and focus on something. So, assiduity. As I got older and I kept hearing music in my head, and I thought, oh my God, I shouldn't go back to sleep. I should write this down. I kept hearing music, and oh my God, I got to record this eventually. I started to realize people like Michael who practice and the repetition and the dedication and the experimenting, trying new things with the dance moves, that's all a critical element of artistry. So for me, even though I'm a novice musician at this point, I only got one album out, and I got a chance to meet Drake a long time ago. I was Uber driving in Los Angeles. Drake Graham, was one of my passengers, and I picked him up from a club on Sunset, and we exchanged emails, but no follow-up because I'm sure he's really busy. But anyhow, I dropped him off down by, I'm not even going to mention, but I had about 30 minutes to hang out with Drake and talk to him in my car. And something Drake told me as an artist, he told me that he produced his first album and nobody gave a rip about who he was. It wasn't until he made his second album that people really started to listen and take notice. So that really impacted me as well. Getting to meet an artist like that, and then thinking about Michael, not that he's elusive or anything, but like Michael reaches this peak position of where he almost has like this aura, or what would you call it, like a hard to reach kind of a thing. Obviously he's in his Neverland Ranch, kind of removed from the world. I don't want to say he's like in his own universe, but it kind of seems that way to the public, right? And that's what world-class performers get. They deserve that, right? Like, the world's not a crazy enough place to reward a whole bunch of undeserving people, at least not yet. I mean, it seems to be happening a little bit in our modern day society. All right, so before I get too off track, let me just say this. Michael definitely influenced me in terms of his persistence and dedication to the art form. As far as artistry goes, I gotta say, when I had to use my own intuition and my own knowledge of music and then sit down in a chair for 8 hours in an editing room at a public studio where I first started working on songs for my first album, that kind of dedication is what I realized is required to make great music. Not good music, not music, but great and excellent music, all right? So there's like two kind of different answers to that question, I guess. If you want to edit that up a little bit, you guys. I didn't really take very many notes here because I don't got a whole lot to go with. Let's just stay on the fly here and get this done. It's midnight where I'm at, by the way. And I've been working 60 to 80 hours a week for the last 3 months. Andy, I think I need more good questions here if you want more material. All right, what is it about the book that you enjoyed the best? You know what? So, obviously the book, The Broken Heart Stone, is a beautiful book. I love the cover design. I love the interior of it. I still have mine in the plastic wrap, believe it or not. I didn't want to open it. So I've seen the one that Andy showed me, and then I've got mine just still in plastic wrap for posterity. But I also read Michael Jackson's personal oversized book. That was a beautiful book. My dad had it one day, and one of the things that impacted me the most that I read was how much he mentioned love and how important it is to have genuine, like, godly love for other people, in the sense that you care about them and have compassion on them, or like the golden rule, do for others. So that impacted me quite a bit. And then I think as I continue to write my music, I will take that ethic to heart, so that I'm not writing music just to get out some sounds that I thought were catchy, or lyrics that seem funky or fun but don't have a lot of social impact or meaning. I'm going to be focusing more on the heart, and I do want to produce a second album. I haven't done that yet. So I do strongly encourage you guys, if you want, check out my album for free online on Spotify or YouTube if you want. Love and Hate in Los Angeles. I think you'll get the idea. There's 14 tracks on there. And I guess I'll mention one last thing. I don't know how valuable it is, because it just seems like I'm name dropping. Yeah, okay, I just won't say his name. Okay, so many years ago, I was up late working at my take two. Many years ago, I was working at my public access studio on a project, and it was going to be like a variety show, just locally produced, and it was going to be fun entertainment. But it's really hard to get people in a small town that have talent to come and be bold enough to be on TV. Like, LA is more the place for that. Regardless, I was working very hard to get people to the studio, so it took me all day and all night, and then I was up till 7 in the morning still working on the project, when I get a phone call from an in-law to someone in the band Fleetwood Mac, and then this person says, so-and-so in the band Fleetwood Mac wants to meet you at the Kyoto Grand Starbucks in downtown Los Angeles. And I said, great, it's 7 in the morning, I'm about to go to bed, I worked all day. all night. And she's like, well, he's not going to be there except between like 2 to 4 p.m. or 12 and 4 p.m., something like that. And I'm like, I'm in Santa Maria. I've got like a 4.5 hour drive if there's no traffic, and I'm going to fall asleep behind the wheel. No amount of energy drink is going to keep me awake. And this person says, well, you know, if you want to go see him, go see him. I said, okay, I'm going to take a nap and I'll wake up and I'll go do it. And the weird part was I tried to lie down and I couldn't sleep because I was so wired and excited. And then when I finally did get out of bed around noon, giving myself like a 4-hour window to meet him, which was my critical mistake, I finally got in the car and then I drove towards LA. There was a fire on one of the highways, and then I had to stop and get gas, and I missed this person at the Starbucks by about 15 minutes. And the way I know I missed him is because he's famous, and I pulled up his image on my cell phone, and I went around the Starbucks, and I'm like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but have you seen this person? Have you seen this person? One guy was like, yeah, he was here about 15 minutes ago and he left. And I ran out of the Starbucks and I yelled this musician's name at the top of my lungs, and I was so embarrassed that I missed this opportunity. So, but what that artist told me, and I'm not going to mention his name here, but he had he had told the agent who contacted me that he was surprised I could write a variety of different styles of music. So I've always taken that as a compliment, because when I was younger and I was working on my music, I felt so embarrassed that I couldn't seem to write all in one niche. But now I can do that, but I guess my brain was working on so many levels, it was easy to write in different styles of music. So that was a huge compliment for me and a good life lesson to learn. And what was weird is, as I drove home from Los Angeles after missing that appointment, I just knew in my mind, I'm not worried about it. It was a little saddening, but I'm still going to produce on my own. I don't care if I didn't get signed to the Epic Records music label. That's fine. And that was the label it would have been. So anyways, I'm happy with who I am and where I'm at, and the fact that it took me 5 years to produce my first album. And I'm thankful that I got it out finally, because I did it the way I wanted to do it. And I would still love to work with a record company if possible. But for the time being, I'm so thankful for where I'm at. I've had opportunities to work with Merle Fankhauser, who is a surf rock musician, and he helped me produce the first 2 tracks on my first album. And as a music mentor, I really look up to him. He's really done a lot of good stuff for the world in terms of his television program, archiving surf rock videos, and quality, family-friendly entertainment. And so I think he deserves every reward that's coming his way. And as an artist, I'm just learning how to be like a more concerted person and like self-contained and responsible in terms of my music and what I put out there. So as I go into doing my second album, that's sort of what I want to bring to the world. All right, Andy, it's really late. I am so tired. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here, and if we need more later, I'll get you more later. Talk to you soon. Bye.